The final bus had already left when Alicia Morgan saw the old man collapse beside the station bench. Snow gathered across his thin coat. One shoe had split along the side. Most people hurried past without looking. Alicia stopped. She had just finished a 12-hour shift driving Route 18 through Detroit. Her back hurt, her hands were numb, and the paper bag inside her purse held the only dinner she could afford. She was saving half for her 14-year-old son. Still, she crossed the sidewalk. "Sir, can you hear me?" The old man opened his eyes slowly. "I'm all right," he whispered. "No, you're not." Alicia helped him sit upright. His hands shook badly. "Did someone steal from you? My wallet and phone are gone. Do you have family nearby?" He looked toward the dark street. "Not anymore. Before we continue, ask yourself this. Would you give away your last meal to someone you might never see again?" Alicia was 38 and raising her son, Malik, alone. Her rent was overdue. The bus company had cut overtime, and Malik needed new asthma medication before the weekend. She could not afford kindness. She practiced it anyway. Alicia opened her paper bag. Inside was a turkey sandwich, an apple, and a small bottle of water. "Eat slowly," she said. The man looked at the food. "What about you?" "I already ate." It was a lie, but not one meant to harm him. He accepted the sandwich with both hands. "My name is Walter." "Alicia." Walter noticed the bus company patch on her jacket. "You drive for Metro Transit?" "Every day except Sunday." "Do they treat you well?" Alicia gave a tired laugh. "That depends on what you call well." She told him about broken heaters, unsafe schedules, then managers who blamed drivers for delays caused by failing buses. Walter listened carefully, too carefully. What Alicia did not know was that his full name was Walter Langford. He was 72 and the founder of Langford Mobility Group, the private company that held Detroit's largest bus maintenance contract. His fortune exceeded $6 billion. He had come to the city quietly, after receiving anonymous reports that repair funds were being diverted while drivers operated unsafe vehicles. Walter had not planned to appear poor. A minor car accident had left him separated from his security team. His belongings were stolen while he waited for help. He could have revealed his identity. He chose not to. Then Alicia noticed blood spreading beneath the sleeve of his coat. At the same moment, her phone rang. It was her supervisor. "Bus 441 lost its brakes downtown," he said. "We need every available driver." Alicia looked at Walter, then toward the depot. Someone was already in danger, and the man beside her knew exactly why. Alicia pressed the phone against her ear. "Where is Bus 441 now?" "Stopped near Woodward and Grand Circus," her supervisor said. "The driver used the curb to slow it down." "Was anyone hurt?" 3 passengers were taken to the hospital. Alicia looked at Walter's bleeding arm. "I'm with an injured man. Send someone else." "There is no one else." Her supervisor lowered his voice. "If you refuse, I'll mark it as insubordination." The call ended. Walter watched her expression. "You should go," he said. "You need medical help." "I can wait." "No, you already waited long enough." Alicia called emergency services and described his condition. Then she removed her scarf and pressed it gently against his arm. Walter winced. "That bus," he said. "Did they mention the brake system?" Alicia looked at him. "How would you know? Older fleet vehicles often fail at the hydraulic lines." "That sounds very specific." Walter hesitated. "I worked around transportation companies." Alicia studied him, but the approaching siren interrupted her. Paramedics arrived and examined Walter. The cut was deep but not life-threatening. One paramedic looked at Alicia. "Are you family?" "No." "Then you can leave. We'll take him from here." Walter caught Alicia's sleeve. "Be careful with Bus 441. She looked down at him. "Why?" "Because brake failure is rarely sudden when inspections are honest." Alicia went still. Drivers had reported soft pedals on that bus for weeks. Management kept returning it to service. "How do you know about the reports?" Walter released her sleeve. "I don't." It was another partial truth. Alicia hurried toward the depot. When she arrived, mechanics surrounded Bus 441 beneath bright service lights. Its front wheel was damaged, and the bumper had scraped against concrete. Her supervisor, Derek Sloan, stood near the maintenance office. "You took long enough. 3 passengers are in the hospital, and the driver avoided fatalities. Drivers reported those brakes." Derek's face hardened. "Be careful what you repeat." Alicia pointed toward the bus. "I filed 2 reports myself. Both were reviewed." "By who?" Derek stepped closer. "Your job is to drive, not audit maintenance." A mechanic named Reggie Cole looked up from beneath the bus. "Alicia," he said quietly. "Come see this." She crouched beside him. The brake line had not simply failed. A replacement part had been installed with the wrong pressure rating. Reggie showed her the stamped serial number. "This part was rejected last year," he whispered. "Someone put it back into circulation." Derek appeared behind them. "Stop talking and return to work." Then Walter's ambulance pulled into the depot yard. A black security SUV followed directly behind it. Derek stared as two suited men stepped out. Walter emerged from the ambulance wearing Alicia's scarf around his injured arm. This time, everyone at the depot recognized him. The depot fell silent. Derek stared at Walter as the two security officers moved beside him. "Mr. Langford," he said. Walter looked at bus 441, then at the rejected brake line in Reggie's hand. "Do not remove that part." Derek forced a smile. "We were just beginning our internal review." "No," Walter said. "You were ordering people to stop talking." Alicia stepped back. "You own Langford Mobility?" Walter faced her. "Yes." She looked at the torn coat, the bloodied scarf, and the man who had eaten her last sandwich. "You knew your company maintained these buses." "Yes. And you let me speak as if you were powerless." "I needed to hear what drivers said without executives beside me." Alicia's expression hardened. "So I was part of an investigation. I did not plan to meet you. But once we met, you kept lying." Walter lowered his voice. "I withheld my identity. That is what people with power call lying when they want it to sound cleaner." Nobody moved. Derek looked between them. "Mr. Langford, this employee has a history of challenging management." Walter turned toward him. "That sounds like retaliation." "It is documentation. Preserve every document connected to her reports." Derek's smile disappeared. Walter pointed toward bus 441. "Who approved that brake component?" Derek glanced at Reggie. "The maintenance team handles individual parts." Reggie stood. "That part came from the regional inventory list. I rejected it twice." "Who returned it to service?" Walter asked. Reggie hesitated. Alicia saw fear on his face. Walter noticed too. "You will not be punished for answering." Reggie looked at Derek. "Mr. Sloan ordered us to use available stock. He said the contract penalty for delayed buses was worse than the risk." Derek stepped forward. "That is not what I said." Reggie pulled out his phone. "I recorded the meeting." Walter's security director accepted the file and sent it to legal counsel. Then Walter addressed the entire depot. "Bus 441 is evidence. No employee will touch it without an independent inspector present." Derek's face tightened. "You cannot shut down the fleet over one incident." Walter looked at the damaged bus. 3 passengers are in the hospital. This stopped being one incident weeks ago." He suspended Derek and froze every maintenance record tied to the Detroit contract. Then Walter turned to Alicia. "I'm sorry." She removed her company badge and placed it on a workbench. "I shared my last meal because I thought you had nothing." Walter looked at the badge. "What are you doing?" "Going home." "You are not fired." "I know." Alicia met his eyes. "I just refuse to stand here while you turn my kindness into evidence that you understand people like me." She walked out of the depot. Walter did not follow. For the first time that night, he understood that revealing the truth did not erase the way he had hidden it. Alicia returned home before sunrise. Malik was awake at the kitchen table, using an empty inhaler. "Mom, did you get the refill?" Alicia stopped. She had planned to use her overtime pay that morning. Now she did not know whether she still had a job. "Not yet," she said. "I'll handle it today." Malik noticed the missing scarf. "What happened?" Alicia set her keys down. "I helped someone who was not honest with me." "Did he hurt you?" "No." That answer felt incomplete. Across town, Walter remained at the depot while independent inspectors examined bus 441. The wrong brake line was only the beginning. Maintenance records showed repeated failures across 7 buses. Drivers had filed 23 safety complaints in 4 months. 17 had been marked resolved without repairs. 6 had disappeared completely. Walter looked at Derek's office computer. Who had access to the complaint system? His security director, Marcus Hale, checked the records. Derek, regional operations, and corporate compliance. Corporate compliance reports to whom? Marcus hesitated. Your daughter. Walter looked up. Rachel Langford was 43 and served as chief operating officer. She had spent years preparing to replace him. Walter called her immediately. She answered from the company's Detroit office. You vanished without security, Rachel said. Do you understand what that did to the board? 3 passengers are hospitalized. I know. Did you know drivers were reporting brake failures? Rachel paused. I received summary reports. Not the original complaints? No. Why not? That is how the system is designed. Walter looked at the deleted files. Then the system was designed to protect executives from responsibility. Rachel's voice hardened. Be careful before accusing people. Detroit is one of our lowest margin contracts. Safety is not a margin. Tell that to the city when they fine us for missed routes. Walter ended the call without resolving anything. By afternoon, investigators found internal emails ordering managers to reduce maintenance delays by any available means. One message carried Rachel's authorization. It did not order anyone to use rejected parts, but it rewarded depots for keeping buses in service, even after repeated warnings. Walter read the message twice. His company had not needed a written command to become dangerous. It had only needed incentives. Meanwhile, Alicia visited the transit office to ask about her status. Derek's replacement handed her a suspension letter. "Pending review," he said. "For what?" "Leaving the depot during an active emergency. I had completed my shift. The report says otherwise." Alicia recognized Derek's language immediately. Even suspended, he was still controlling the story. Then she noticed another name at the bottom of the letter. Rachel Langford had approved it. Alicia read the signature again. Rachel Langford had approved her suspension less than 2 hours earlier. The temporary operations manager avoided her eyes. "She signed a batch of emergency personnel actions," he said. "Did she read mine?" "I don't know. That is the problem." Alicia folded the letter and placed it in her bag. Outside the transit office, Reggie waited beside his truck. "They suspended you?" She nodded. "They questioned me for 3 hours," he said. "Derek claims I installed the wrong brake line. You warned him about it. I have inventory records, but someone changed the approval date." Alicia looked back toward the depot. "They are trying to make this look like one mechanic and one difficult driver." Reggie lowered his voice. "There are more rejected parts in storage. Steering joints, fuel valves, electrical relays. Can you prove they were used?" "I photographed the serial numbers before security locked the building." Alicia told him to send copies to the independent investigators, not Walter. "Why not him?" Reggie asked. "Because this cannot depend on one billionaire deciding to do the right thing." Across town, Walter received Alicia's suspension record from Marcus. He recognized Rachel's digital approval. "Reverse it," Walter said. Marcus paused. "Alicia may see that as personal interference." Walter looked at the screen. He wanted to restore her pay, replace Malik's medication, and erase every problem caused by the letter. That would be easy. It would also prove Alicia's point. "Do not contact her directly," Walter said. "Send every emergency suspension to outside counsel for review. Apply the same standard to everyone." Marcus nodded. "What about lost wages?" "If the process was retaliatory, restore them automatically." Walter then called Rachel to the corporate office. She arrived carrying financial reports. "You overrode the entire suspension process," she said. "I removed it from people under investigation." "You are protecting Alicia." "I am protecting due process." Rachel placed the reports on his desk. "If Detroit stops service, the city may cancel our contract. Thousands of riders lose transportation. Unsafe buses do not protect riders. You think I wanted anyone hurt? No. I think you built incentives that made injuries predictable." Rachel's expression tightened. "You taught me to protect the company. I taught you badly." That answer silenced her. Walter showed her the deleted complaints and the altered inventory logs. Rachel read each page. Then she found an email from Derek asking permission to discipline drivers who repeatedly reported defects. Her response had been one sentence: "Use your judgment and protect service reliability." Rachel sat down slowly. "I never told him to punish them. You gave him permission not to hear them." Before she could answer, Marcus entered with new evidence. Bus 441 was not the only vehicle carrying rejected brake parts. 5 more buses were operating downtown at that exact moment. Walter stood so quickly that his chair struck the wall. "Where are the buses?" Marcus opened the fleet map. Route 7, 18, 23, 30, et 1, and 42. Route 18 was Alicia's route. Walter called the Transit Control Center. "Pull all 5 buses from service immediately." The dispatcher hesitated. "We need authorization from city operations." "You have mine. Your company does not control active routes." Walter looked at Rachel. She understood first. "If we remove them without approval, the city can fine us." Walter faced the phone again. "Document that I ordered the shutdown because of confirmed safety risks." The dispatcher still resisted. Rachel took the phone. "This is Rachel Langford, Chief Operating Officer. Stop those buses now." The dispatcher finally began contacting drivers. 4 responded. Bus 318 en route 18 did not. Its radio had failed. Marcus checked the GPS signal. "It is moving south on Woodward." Walter called Alicia. She answered after several rings. "I told you not to contact me directly. This is not about your suspension. Bus 318 may have rejected brake parts." Alicia went silent. "That bus carries 40 people during the evening run. We cannot reach the driver." "Who is driving?" Walter checked the roster. "Monica Bell, Alicia grabbed her keys. Monica's phone only works on speaker. Send me her number. You are suspended. And she is alone in an unsafe bus. Walter understood the warning in her voice. He sent the number without giving another order. Alicia called Monica while driving toward the route. Monica answered breathlessly. The brake pedal feels soft. Do not take the downhill section near Jefferson. I already passed the turn. Alicia pictured the route. Use the engine brake. Keep your speed under 20. Do not shut the bus off. Passengers began shouting in the background. Monica's voice shook. I can't stop at the next light. Move into the right lane. Use the curb gradually if you need friction. Walter listened through Marcus's conference line. He did not interrupt. Alicia guided Monica block by block until police cleared an intersection ahead. The bus finally slowed against a snowbank near Campus Martius. No one was seriously injured. When Alicia arrived, Monica climbed down, trembling, and hugged her. Reporters were already gathering. Walter stayed behind the barricade. Alicia noticed. He could have stepped forward, thanked her publicly, and made himself part of the rescue. He did not. Instead, he ordered the entire Detroit fleet suspended for independent inspection. Service stopped across the city. The financial cost would be enormous. But for the first time, nobody inside Langford Mobility could claim they had not understood the danger. By morning, every Langford-maintained bus in Detroit sat behind locked depot gates. Thousands of riders waited at empty stops. Local news stations blamed Walter. City officials called the shutdown irresponsible. One council member accused Langford Mobility of creating panic to avoid liability. Walter did not reopen the fleet. Independent inspectors found rejected parts in 11 buses, falsified records in 8, and missing inspection signatures across 3 depots. The problem was larger than Detroit. Rachel read the findings beside him. This could reach every contract we operate. It should, Walter said. You may destroy the company. If the company survives by hiding danger, it should not survive unchanged. Rachel looked toward the depot floor. For the first time, she seemed less angry than ashamed. Across town, Alicia joined other suspended drivers at a union meeting. Some wanted Walter removed. Others feared layoffs if the contracts collapsed. Monica stood near the front. Alicia saved my passengers because management ignored us, she said. But drivers should not have to become emergency engineers. The room erupted in agreement. Alicia proposed an independent safety council with elected drivers and mechanics. It would have authority to remove buses from service without management approval. One driver asked whether Langford would ever accept that. He should not get to choose, Alicia said. The city should require it. That afternoon, Alicia testified before the transportation board. Walter sat in the back row. She described broken heaters, missing reports, and pressure to keep unsafe vehicles moving. Then she addressed him directly. Mr. Langford gave workers no reliable way to reach the truth. Showing up in a torn coat did not fix that. Walter did not look away. You are right, he said. The board approved emergency oversight, restored suspended drivers' pay, and required public maintenance records. Rachel resigned as chief operating officer. Walter did not ask the board to protect her title. After the hearing, Alicia found him alone near the courthouse steps. My son's medication was covered when they restored my pay, she said. I'm glad. You didn't arrange it privately. No, that was the correct choice. Walter nodded. Then Marcus approached with another report. Derek had not acted alone. A senior city contract officer had accepted payments to approve the falsified inspections. The corruption reached beyond Langford Mobility, and the official had just ordered every original record destroyed. Marcus handed Walter the report outside the courthouse. The contract officer is Raymond Pike, he said. He ordered the city archive wiped before midnight. Alicia heard him. How much time do we have? Less than 4 hours. Walter looked at Marcus. Contact federal investigators and the state transportation inspector. They need a court order to seize city servers. Then request one now. Alicia crossed her arms. And while lawyers are requesting permission, Walter understood the question. We preserve what we can legally access. Reggie had already saved photographs, inventory numbers, and depot emails. Drivers had copies of ignored complaints. Mechanics had recorded meetings where managers demanded buses remain in service. But the city records connected Raymond Pike to the false inspections. Without them, he could blame Langford employees and walk away. Alicia called Monica and the union representatives. Tell everyone to preserve every message from city officials, she said. Do not edit anything. Do not post it online. Walter looked at her. You know, evidence procedure. I know desperate people destroy credibility when they act too fast. At city headquarters, Raymond entered the archive room using an administrator badge. Security footage showed him carrying 2 portable drives. Federal agents arrived 11 minutes later. He had already started deleting files. Technicians stopped the process before the archive was fully erased. The recovered records showed years of payments disguised as consulting fees. Raymond had approved unsafe vehicles after receiving money from Derek and 2 regional contractors. Rachel's office had never authorized the bribes, but her performance targets had created the pressure that made them profitable. By morning, Raymond and Derek were arrested. Walter released Langford Mobility's internal records to prosecutors without demanding immunity. The board called an emergency meeting. Several directors wanted him removed for exposing the company to criminal penalties. Walter answered calmly, "If transparency threatens this company, then secrecy has already destroyed it." The board kept him as chairman, but transferred operational control to an independent restructuring team. Drivers and mechanics received permanent voting seats. Alicia was offered one. She read the proposal before answering. "I will serve if the seat belongs to the workers, not to me personally." Walter agreed. No special arrangement. No publicity campaign. No. And no story about the billionaire who learned kindness from a poor bus driver. Walter lowered his eyes. Understood. Alicia signed the temporary oversight agreement. She had not forgiven him. But for the first time, his company was being forced to hear people before someone got hurt. 6 weeks later, limited bus service returned to Detroit. Every vehicle carried a public inspection code passengers could scan. Drivers could remove a bus from service without losing pay or facing discipline. The new Worker Oversight Council met inside the depot where Bus 441 had failed. Alicia sat between Reggie and Monica. Walter attended as chairman, but he had no authority to overrule their safety decisions. The restructuring director opened the meeting. "Today we review executive responsibility." Rachel entered quietly and took a seat near the wall. She had requested permission to speak. Alicia looked at Walter. "Did you invite her?" "No, the independent team did." Rachel approached the table. "I approved targets that rewarded buses staying on the road," she said. "I told myself local managers were responsible for how they met those targets." She placed a written statement before the council. That was not leadership. It was a way to avoid seeing the consequences. Monica asked whether Rachel wanted her job back. "No." "Then why are you here?" "To answer questions without controlling the outcome." For 2 hours, drivers questioned her about deleted complaints, suspension policies, and executive bonuses. Rachel did not blame Derek. She did not ask Walter to defend her. The council recommended that she remain barred from operations for 3 years. Any future role would require worker approval. Walter accepted the decision. After the meeting, reporters waited outside. One shouted, "Alicia, are you the woman who taught a billionaire compassion?" Alicia stopped. "No," she said. "Workers had compassion before executives noticed us." Another reporter asked whether Walter had saved Detroit Transit. "He helped expose the damage his company allowed," Alicia replied. "That is accountability, not heroism." Walter heard every word. He did not correct her. Later, he found Alicia beside Route 18. "I brought something," he said. He handed her a paper bag. Inside was a turkey sandwich, an apple, and water. Alicia looked at him carefully. "This does not repay anything." "I know. It is lunch." She took the bag. Then she tore the sandwich in half. "One half," she said. "No speeches." Walter accepted it. For the first time, they shared a meal with no disguise between them. 3 months later, Alicia drove Route 18 through a cold Detroit morning. The bus heater worked. The brakes responded smoothly. Every safety report remained visible to drivers and mechanics. Walter boarded near Grand Circus wearing an ordinary winter coat. This time, Alicia knew exactly who he was. "You have a car," she said. "I do." "And a driver?" "Yes." "Then why are you on my bus?" Walter tapped his transit card. "I wanted to see whether the reforms work when nobody prepares for me." Alicia raised one eyebrow. "At least you told me first." "I am learning." He sat near the front while passengers climbed aboard. Nobody recognized him. At the final stop, Walter remained behind. "The company offered you a permanent executive position," he said. "I declined it." "I heard. I belong with the drivers. That is where I can be useful." Walter nodded. "Would you have coffee with me Sunday?" Alicia studied him. "This is not payment for a sandwich." "No. And it is not a publicity story. No cameras. No press." She allowed a small smile. "One coffee. One honest coffee." Alicia opened the bus doors. Walter stepped onto the sidewalk without asking for more. She had given him food when she believed he had nothing. Now he understood that kindness never gave him ownership of her trust. It only gave him the responsibility to become worthy of it. Do you think Walter earned another chance? Share your thoughts. and stay with us for more heartfelt stories.